We're gonna start with US 30. Chop. We're gonna go over the previous trading week, see what we can improve on, see what we done bad, see what we done good, and just try to learn, bro. If y'all got any questions, bro, just let me know. We're gonna start with US 30. Alright, so boom. New York session, 9 a.m. We're looking for that. So whatever resistance breakout at 9:30. So we're gonna put our confluences on the screen just so we know what we're looking for. So clear support and resistance 9:30 to 9:35 a.m. breakout, and we want to see some volume. Good push of volume. Alright, boom, three confluences. That's what we're looking for before we take any trade. All three gotta be there. If it's not there, we're not taking a trade. Alright, so boom, this is Monday 30th, US 30. Um, Came in at 9 a.m. Obviously, we have this low right here. So we smack our breakout line right there. That's our support level. If you drag it across, you can see it's getting respected, right? It's a whole area. If you just keep on dragging it, you can see, multiple touches. What the fuck did I just do? All right. As you can see, it's multiple touches, right? So you draw your breakout line on the previous low before 9 a.m. I like to use a box, right? Because it's not just a line, it's also an area. So it really just depends on what you prefer to use. And we're looking for resistance at the most recent high, which would be right here, right? So we got resistance and we got support, right? So that's the first confluence checked off the list. Now we're looking for a breakout at 9:30. Boom, breakout at 9:30 happened, right? So that's number two confluence checked off the list. Now we're looking for volume on that 9:30 a.m. breakout candle. As you can see, that shit barely even pushed, right? If I zoom in a little bit and we look at the wick, as you can see, it barely broke below the level, right? So we wouldn't have took this trade. 9:30 we did 9:35 we did have a good push, but is it at 9:35? Hold on, let's see. Yeah, at 9:35 we had a good push, but I was already looking at a different trade at that time, so we didn't take that trade, and obviously, what I'm saying, we would have lost if we took this, right? We would have probably entered, if you waited a little bit longer and you was being greedy, you would have probably entered on this 9:35 candle right here. Say a good push like right here, stop loss slightly above this level. We would have got cooked, right? We would have entered, price would have retraced, and then we would have got stopped out on this 9:45 candle, right? So that's why I look for my entry based off volume, right? Because once you got volume chart, that shit barely even comes back to the breakout level. Like it just keeps on dropping. That's why you have our stop loss slightly above the breakout level, right? So volume is key. So yeah, that was on Monday on US 30. Let's go on NASDAQ. Let's see what NASDAQ did. Same day. NASDAQ had some good volume. Not gonna lie. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't take this trade. I should have took this trade to be honest, but it is what it is. But yeah, we came into the market at 9 a.m., which would have been right on this candle right there. That's the 9 a.m. candle. And before that, we're just looking for support and resistance, right? Same thing, strong support level, right? We got multiple touches, right? It's a whole area, so we can use a box also, right? And as you can see, we got one, two, three, four touches, bro. Strong ass support level, right? So we would put our breakout line on the most recent low, right? So support. And in this case, I know some people would have probably put their resistance level right here, right? But um, support becomes resistance and resistance becomes support, right? What do I mean by that? So as you can see, we have a level right here that is getting respected, right? It was once resistance, we broke above, and now we came back down respecting it as support, right? Same thing, we broke back below, we came back up, respected it as resistance. So in this case, this would be our resistance level and not up here, right? So I would put my breakout line right here, right? And as we get close to 9:30, we did create a slightly better high, so I would just probably just adjust it a little bit and put it right here. Now in this case, if we was to break out to the upside at 9:30 with some volume, I would have went buy. I would have went on a buy position, and I would just target this level right here as my level of liquidity, right? Or something else if there was anything over here. But you guys get what I'm trying to say. So boom, we got support, we got resistance. That's the first confluence we're looking for. Number two, we want to see a breakout at 9:30. As you guys can see, we broke to the downside, right? And number three, we're looking for volume. Now this actually has some good volume, to be honest. I don't know why I didn't take this, right? I guess I was just being a bit cautious. Like I said, bro, we are in summer markets right now. The breakouts haven't really been the most volatile breakouts. I've honestly seen better volume on these breakouts. So I was just being a bit cautious on this breakout and I didn't take this trade. But overall it was a W trade, so whoever caught that trade, good shit. You know what I'm saying? That was a good trade right there. Beautiful volume. And yeah. So boom, entered on a good push. Probably would have entered somewhere around here. Stop loss slightly above the breakout level, and we would have just targeted our TP, which would have been this liquidity, right? We got a bunch of liquidity down here. We got one, two, three, four levels of liquidity. So that was perfect target to get out at. And as you guys can see, it paid off, right? We came all the way down, smacked that liquidity, and then we came right back up, right? So that's why we target liquidity, chat. We don't just go in blind and just, you know what I'm saying, say that we're going for a 3x, you know what I'm saying, or go for crazy risk reward, bro. You gotta look for level of liquidity to get out, trade at, right? So beautiful trade. If you caught this shit, this was actually a really good trade. It was an A plus setup, to be honest, but me personally, I didn't really like the volume, so I didn't take it. But going into next week, I feel like I just gotta be more robotically, right? So what do I mean by that? Support, resistance, breakout. Once I have all my confluences, I just need to take the trade. I don't need to worry about, you know what I'm saying, how it's moving. Like once they got volume, fuck it, just take it. You know what I'm saying? So that's something I'm gonna definitely look forward to next week. But like I said, I'm just being a bit cautious because summer markets. I'm not trying to get faked out. So, but yeah, that was Monday. Let's go to Tuesday on US 30. Tuesday we had news, right? We had Powell speaking at 9:30, so I wasn't really looking to take a trade. But let's just look at it and see what happened. So this is on US 30. Nothing really happened on US 30, but boom, came in at 9 a.m., which would have been right here. Um, we got support at this most recent low right here, and like I said, you can also use a box because it is an area, right? So we got support right here. As you can see, we got one, two, three touches, strong support level, and it was once resistance, right? Price came up and respected it multiple times if we just drag it across, right? One, two. So yeah. Um, if you guys are struggling to find support and resistance, bro, just look to the left and see where price is respecting, right? And then compare it to where your levels are, and then you will know. So boom, we got support, most recent low before 9 a.m. or 9:30, whatever you want to call it, and resistance would have been right here, right here. Now, some people would have probably had their resistance here, right? Now this is not the most recent high, right? This is, right? And these levels are just respecting this high right here. So this is the most recent high right here. And in this case, we'll be looking for a breakout at 9:30, right? So we got number one confluences right here. Support at the bottom and resistance at the top. Now we're looking for a 9:30 a.m. breakout. We broke out at 9:15, right? So we already like this is already something that we don't want to see, right? We broke out before 9:30. Now in this case, for me to even take a trade, what I would want to see is price to come back down and then break back above that initial high that it created when it broke out, right? So which is exactly what happened, right? We came out, broke out before 9:30, created this high right here, and then we came back down, and then at 9:30 we broke above. Now the only reason why I wouldn't have took this trade was because we didn't have a good amount of volume on that 9:30 candle, right? As you guys can see, we barely broke above this high right here. If we put a line right here, you'd see that the candle barely broke above, right? Now, like I said, we did have news on this day, so I was gonna trade anyway. Y'all can't hear me? Let me know. Is the audio smooth? Yeah. Alright, so maybe it's just him. Alright, so boom. So on this day we had news, so I wasn't really looking to trade, right? Just stayed away from the markets on that day. Um, if we go on NASDAQ, NASDAQ did the same thing, right? Wait, hold on. Am I tweaking? Did we have news on this day? Hold on, chat. Let me look real quick. This looked like a whole completely different day. Tuesday. No, we didn't have news. I'm chatting, bro. What is this? July 1st? Bro, this is June. What the fuck? I'm tweaking, chat. Alright, we gonna hop back real quick. Alright, so boom. Alright, so let me go on NASDAQ real quick. Alright, we just backtested the wrong day. Alright, so yeah, so we had news on Tuesday, right? This is on US 30, right? We had news at 9:30, so I didn't want to trade, right? Now this did like actually play out. We had a good amount of volume, but the reason why I didn't trade was because someone was speaking, right? And if someone's speaking something like if they just say anything wrong, bro, the price could completely change and go in the opposite direction. You feel me? So I just didn't want to trade on that day. Even though it did play out other days, it might not do that, right? So you just gotta keep that in mind. Um, Never mind. Alright. So yeah, so this was actually a beautiful trade right here, but like I said, we had news, so I didn't take it. But coming into the market, 9 a.m., right? Every single day, do the same thing every single day, right? Consistency is key. You want to master this strategy. So, boom, we got support at this low right here, right? Most recent low, right? So we got a support level, and we got resistance at these highs right here. Now, as you guys can see, we're getting a lot of respects, right? If we just drag this line across, you can see that it's getting respected a bunch of times. So we know we got a strong resistance level. All we want to see is a breakout at 9:30. So first, we already got the number one confluence out the way. Number two, breakout at 9:30. Boom, that's checked off. Number three, we want to see volume. We had a good push of volume, as you guys can see. That shit literally flew all the way up here, right? So we had a good push of volume. In this case, if we didn't have news on this day, I would have definitely took this trade. Would have probably hopped in right around here, right? Stop loss slightly below that breakout level, and I would have just targeted a recent level of liquidity. So probably enter somewhere around here, to be honest. So that would be like right here. Definitely would have got out somewhere around here. Depending on how much it's pushing with volume, I would have probably held and just went break even. So as you guys can see, the candle that initially hit this level right here was a very volatile candle. So in this case, I would have held the trade, right? I wouldn't have got out right here. I would have probably just went break even, you know what I'm saying, and then just held it until it starts pulling back. So realistically, I probably would have hopped out right around here when this purple candle came in. So in that case, we would have probably caught a 1 to 4 R, just about 1 to 3, 1 to 4. So yeah, this was a beautiful trade, but like I said, we had news, so I wasn't really interested in taking it, right? Even though it did play out. Other days, it's probably not gonna go that way. So, you just gotta be disciplined, bro. Even though it's tempting, you just gotta stay away. That's just how trading is. Um, let's go to NASDAQ. Actually, hold on. 9:30. What about the 1 minute time frame? All right. I just wanted to see some real quick, chat. All right. Let's go to NASDAQ. NASDAQ was trash, bro. Like I said, we had news, so it's just expected to be honest. But this shit was trash. Like I said, we wouldn't have traded because of news once again. So keep that in mind. But we're just going over it. So 9 a.m. came into the market would have been right here. We have lows right here. Right, so that would be our support level. And same thing I just talked about, right? Support becomes resistance and resistance becomes support, right? So boom, this was our support level at once, right? And these was our resistance at these highs. Okay, so we broke below these support level, right? These lows, whatever you want to call it, and we created a new low and pulled back up, respecting it as resistance, right? So now this previous support level becomes a resistance level. That's what I mean by support becomes resistance and resistance becomes support, right? So in this case, all we're looking for is a breakout at 9:30 with volume, right? Um, 905, we kind of pushed above this level a little bit, but like I said, you guys got to keep in mind, bro, it's an area. It's not just a line, right? So I would draw it something like that, but the line is just to show me where I would enter, right? So boom, we kind of broke above, and then at 9:30, nothing happened, right? 9:30 hits, and as you guys can see, this is the 9:30 candle, bro. Like this little trash ass candle right here. So that's to show you how news affects the markets, chat, right? So people probably would have entered off of this trade just because it broke above, right? You're expecting volume just because it's 9:30 market open, and because we had news, as you guys can see, nothing happened, right? But on the other hand, if we took that US 30 trade, you would have cashed. So that's just news, bro. Just gotta stay away from that shit, bro. Even though it hits TP, you just gotta stay away. Um, Wednesday, um, Wednesday, I was actually mad I didn't take this trade. This was actually a pretty, well, not really. I'm gonna be honest with y'all boys. In terms of support and resistance, it was just kind of iffy, bro. So what I did was I hopped on the 15-minute time frame, right? Because it looked way better. So let me just break this down for you real quick. So boom, we came into the market at 9 a.m. on this day, right? So that would be our 9 a.m. candle where we hopped in the market. You won US 30, bro. I know. So this would be 9 a.m., right? This would be 9 a.m. on Wednesday. This is a 9 a.m. candle, and we're looking for support. Now, have you obviously, chat, um, like there's no support at this point when we came into the market, right? Now, obviously, going after that, we started respecting this level with these lows right here. We started showing that we didn't want to push below this initial candle that created this wick, right? And if we're looking for recent resistance, right, this would be our resistance right here. Now, like I said, I didn't really like these levels, bro. It wasn't really clear to me. So what I did, even though we did kind of have support and resistance, what I did was I hopped on the 15-minute time frame, right? And I was looking for better support and resistance, right? Because I didn't really like the 5-minute support and resistance. So that's what I did, right? I marked out my support and resistance on the 15-minute, which would have been right here, and resistance would have been either at these highs, or you could draw a mid-level and put them right here on this mid-level right here, right? So that's what I did. And at 9:30 on the 50-minute time frame, price was just iffy, bro. Like price was barely pushing. Like it was showing me that it was just hesitating to push. And that's one thing I don't like to take trades off of, right? Once price is hesitating to move at 9:30, I don't like to take it because normally it shouldn't be hesitating, bro. You know what I'm saying? It should just be flying. That's what I'm accustomed to seeing. So that's what I wanted to see. And I didn't see that. And, even though the trade did kind of play out, if you took it on the 5-minute time frame, to me, I just wasn't comfortable taking the trade in terms of volume, right? I'm accustomed to seeing a lot of volume, and those are the trades that normally win for me. So if I'm not confident on a trade, I'm not gonna take it. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, we are risking money. Money doesn't grow on tree, so you gotta keep that in mind. A plus setups only. So to me, in terms of volume, this wasn't really an A plus setup, right? For me personally, if you took it and you took a W, good shit. But you know what I'm saying? For me personally, I just like to go off of trades that I know will guarantee hit my take profit, right? Um, but yeah, if you did take this trade, um, well, me personally, if I took this trade, my level of liquidity for me to target would have been this level right here, and this level right here. So there was also a level right here. Same thing. It was once resistance broke above, became support. So we got two levels of liquidity, which I would personally target as TP. And as you guys can see, both levels actually got hit. So this is why I actually got mad, because I missed this trade. You know what I'm saying? The breakout wasn't really the most volatile breakout, but I mean there was volume, so I guess I could have took it, but I wasn't comfortable with it. But like I said, bro, going into next week, bro, all I'm gonna do is just trade more robotically, right? So just going off of my system, bro. You know what I'm saying? Support, resistance, breakout at 9:30 with volume, I'm taking it. I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Once all those confirmations are there, I'm gonna take it. Lately, I just been hesitating because of these summer markets, bro. But you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. You live, you learn. So yeah, if you took this trade, good shit. And yeah, bro, let's see what NASDAQ did. NASDAQ was definitely not a good trade in terms of 9:30 a.m. volume. I remember this day. So yeah, 9 a.m. NASDAQ had the better setup on the 5 minute time frame though, I'm not gonna lie. So boom, we got support at this low, right? And recent resistance would have been right here. We also have this support level, which was resistance at the time until the 9 a.m. candle broke above and then respected it as support. So we don't really have to worry about that. You could mark it out as a mid level, but you know, I just didn't. So yeah, this would have been our setup right here. Support at the bottom, resistance at the top, and we just want to see a breakout at 9:30. And my target of liquidity, if I did take this trade, would have been, ooh, definitely probably one, two, and then this initial high right here. Now those targets did get hit, but you know, the trade didn't really play out with our confirmations, so I didn't take the trade. Um, and yeah, even though it hit TP, you know, that's just how trading is, bro. You got to be disciplined. 9:30, we did get a breakout, but as you guys can see, the 9:30 candle wasn't that volatile. You know what I'm saying? We barely broke above this level. 9:35, we started pushing as well, but like I said, wasn't as much volume, so I didn't take it. Right now, it did continue pushing. Right, it did hit all three TPs. So if you did break your rules, right, and you did still take this trade, you would have won. You know what I'm saying? But you guys got to understand, bro. You can't break your rules, bro. Even though you won, you can't break your rules. You got to be disciplined, bro, because it's gonna be worth it in the long run. You feel me? If you practice breaking your rules and you make it to where like breaking your rules is okay, then in the long run, when you actually have to follow your rules, bro, you're gonna get cooked and you will never make money consistently. So even though we did, you know what I'm saying, miss out on some bread this week, at least we followed our rules. You know what I'm saying? At least we took trades that we were comfortable with taking and we were confident in taking, right? You can't base your performance off of your profits or your P&L. You know what I'm saying? You got to base your performance off of how you um how off of how you execute it, and you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. That was Wednesday. We're going to go to Thursday. Thursday I did take a trade, but yeah. So US 30, beautiful trade right here, to be honest. I'm really mad because I didn't take this trade right here. I took the NASDAQ one, but support would have been right here. We came into the market at 9 a.m., which would have been right on this candle right here. So what I'm looking at right now is we have support at these lows right here, as you guys can see. Remember, it is all just a zone, right? It's all an area. So my breakout line would have been on the lowest point in this area, right? So boom, we got support at this low, and we also have resistance at this high right here. Now, if you guys look completely, we do have a mid-level right here, right? So this would have been my mid-level, right? Now, the reason why this is my mid-level is because boom, price came up, respected it, pulled back, we broke through, and then came down, respected this area right here. Now, if I hop on the 1 minute time frame, you would see that we did respect that area. So boom. Um, so yeah, price came down, and then boom, we started pulling back off of it, and then we initially broke through. And then same thing happened. We came back up, respected it. So boom, we know we have a mid level, right? We got one, two, three areas where price is respecting it, right? So in this case, what I would be looking for is just a breakout at 930, right? Simply the same thing, bro. Support resistance, right? So in this case, this would be our resistance, this mid level, and this would be our support, right? And then you get a breakout at 930, and my targets would have been this high, which was the initial resistance at first, and this level of liquidity over here, I would have marked out also as a target. So boom, support resistance breakout at 930, beautiful volume on this 930 candle. Boom, if you took this trade, good shit, bro. Um, definitely a good trade right here. Boom, enter off a volume off of a good push, stop loss slightly below that breakout level, and you could either get out at this TP level right here, or you could have got out at a 1-to-1 and played it safe. All depends on you. This is really a good trade though. Now the reason I didn't take this trade was because I like to take the trade that first breaks out, right? So in in terms of NASDAQ and US 30, right? Once you're looking at both of these charts, bro, normally the trade that breaks out first or gives all your confluences first, right? In terms of support, resistance, breakout at 930 and volume, the trade that gives all those confluences first is normally the trade that's gonna hit TP every single time. Like 90% of the time, that's the trade that's gonna do it. And then the trade that, you know what I'm saying, does it last is normally the trade that fakes you out or does some weird shit. You feel me? So in this case, I just wasn't really trying to take this trade just because this wasn't the first one to break out. NASDAQ was. And yeah, bro. This was all based off of market experience why I didn't take this trade though. But you know, sometimes you're just not always right. And that's just how trading is. So yeah, that was a beautiful trade if you caught that good shit. NASDAQ was really a beautiful day on this day, but we was also at all-time highs, so I wasn't really trying to hold that bitch to be honest. Um and yeah, so 9 a.m. widen that candle right here, and we're looking for resistance and support. So boom, we got resistance at this high, and support was on this low that was getting respected as a resistance at first, right? So as you guys can see, if we draw it out, right, um, price came up, respected as resistance, came back down, broke through, came back down, and created a support right on that same level, right? If we pull it across, you guys can see same thing. Keep in mind it's an area, so you can draw it a little bit better, something like this. Resistance, resistance, broke above, support, right? So keep that in mind. Support becomes resistance, resistance becomes support. So boom. And boom, we got support, we got resistance, number one confluence out of the way. And now we're just looking for a breakout at 930. Pretty simple. So boom, broke out at 930, beautiful amount of volume. I entered on this trade. And the first entry I got, I risked too much. So I had to hop out real quick and, you know what I'm saying, fix my risk. And I think I hopped in just right around here. And I caught like a 1-to-1, to be honest. Yeah. So I caught something like this right here. And, you know, I wasn't trying to hold it for too much longer. Like I said, we are at all-time highs. So if we hop out and we go on the 1 hour time frame, right, we go to Thursday, we zoom out, you guys can see, bro, if you look to the left, bro, we're literally at the highest point at this time, right? If you look to the left, there's no liquidity for us to target, right? It's just nothing. You feel what I'm trying to say? So at all-time highs, I just like to stick to targeting a 1-to-1 RR, right? So I'm only looking to make how much I'm risking, right? So on this day, um, how much ever I was risking, I was just trying to make that back, right? So and that's really what happened here, right? Targeted a 1-to-1, we hit TP, and then I just closed, right? I wasn't trying to be greedy, right? Now, if you did hold this trade, right, you would have came back down. Depending on where exactly you had your stop loss, if you had a tight stop loss, you would have probably got stopped out. Or maybe if you had a little bit of a breathable stop loss, you would have been smooth, right? And you held that bitch, you would have caught a lot more, right? You could have caught potentially a 1-to-5, so you could have made 5 extra money, right? Now, like I said, bro, we are at all-time highs, so I just like to play it safe. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what the fuck these markets are gonna do. So yeah. So yeah, overall, W week, bro. You guys know I don't trade on Fridays, and like I said, last Friday, bro, we had a bank holiday. Nothing was really going on. As you guys can see, it's just consolidating. Shit's literally not even going up or down. It's literally just going to the side. So, in trading conditions like this, you don't want to trade, bro. Feel what I'm trying to say? So yeah. Overall, good week though, chat. Um, Me personally, I could have done better in terms of executing trades. You know what I'm saying? Being more robotically. You know what I'm saying? But that's how you get better, bro. You just gotta keep on going over your weeks and seeing what you did wrong. Going into next week, we're gonna do better for sure, though. Um, yeah, bro. If you guys got any questions, let me know. You feel what I'm trying to say? Let me know if you guys got any questions. Other than that, we're gonna hop off this backtesting session, bro.